salesperson, what are some things that you can learn from the world of pro wrestling? I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you and professional wrestling. Now, as a kid, I grew up loving to watch professional wrestling, and on Saturday nights I'd watch it with my dad. He would make chocolate pudding, and we'd have vanilla ice cream and chocolate pudding parties, and we would watch pro wrestling. And I started thinking the other day, there's some things that you can learn as a salesperson, and the first thing is persona, right? Persona. So who you are. So you may look at me and you're like, hey, who's this Sylvan Bell guy? He shoots videos at the beach all the time. He wears aloha shirts, talks about Hawaii. That's part of my persona. And in the world of everybody looking the same and being the same, there's things that you can do to distinguish yourself. So a couple months back, I'm at an internet marketing party. Everybody's dressed like Steve Jobs, you know, black shirt, khakis pants. I walk in, giant, beautiful flowers. And there's probably 400 people in the building. There's 400 people in the room. And everybody started calling me Aloha shirt guy, right? And there's been events that I've gone to and I've been tagged in pictures on social media because I always sit up front of any event that I go to and there's a picture from the back, right? And the picture from the back's got some big bald guy with an Aloha shirt and people are like, hey, that must be Sylvan Bell. He's at this event because I can tell from his head it's shiny and then he's got an Aloha shirt on that's loud and obnoxious, okay? So I'm telling you this for a reason. You don't have to wear Aloha shirts, you don't have to get crazy tattoos or wear silly masks or get these big belts, but persona happens in a lot of different ways. It could be from the way that you write a thank you card. So all of my thank you cards that I send to clients say mahalo on them, right? Because I spent a ton of time in Hawaii, right? Everything that I do, like my pens, they got pictures of hibiscus flowers or plumeries on them, and people are like, hey, you're a 6'2" dude and you weigh 280 pounds, what's up with these flowers? It's all in who you are. It's all in your style. It's all, and if you look and act and you are the same thing as everybody else, chances are pretty good there was nothing memorable about you. There was nothing that made somebody go, ah, I remember this guy or I remember this girl. It could be a signature perfume. It could be a signature cologne. It could be a way that you sign something. Your job as a salesperson is to build your persona in a way that makes people go, I like that guy. I like that girl. I remember them. Or, you know what? All the other people here weren't memorable. It could be something like what I do when I meet with a buyer is I give them my world famous salmon recipe. And I say, hey, look, this is my salmon recipe and here's all the things about it. Boom. And it's on an index card. My business card is 4 inches by 6 inches. So like it fits in a suit jacket pocket. Someone's like, hey, you got a business card? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Here's my oversized salmon recipe. And by the way, on there is a QR code that takes you to free sales training. So here's the thing. Your job is to figure out who you are, what makes you unique, and find some way to incorporate that. And it doesn't have to be through your wholesale presentation. It could just be in something. So in home sales, there was this guy down in Southern California that every call that he went to, he would take the people a homemade loaf of bread. And he'd say, hey, I brought some bread for you, right? So, you know, there's the whole thing from Saldini that if I give you something and then you want to give something back to me, you got to know that your persona and what you do matters. So does your style. So does your grace. So you watch professional wrestling and name whoever your professional wrestling is. You have one. You're telling me you don't. I know you do. I know you got a favorite wrestler. I know you do. You start looking at what they did differently. Like I grew up in the age of Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts, you know, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, the Dragon. Like there's all these guys, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They all had their persona about them, and it made them unique. It made them a character. They all had something about them. The Ultimate Warrior. I mean, you could start naming off all these people from the mid '90s to about 2000, and you could go, oh, okay, this makes sense. This is how they were. This is who they were, and this is either why I liked them or I didn't like them. You could use that to your advantage in sales. You can learn a lot from pro wrestlers. You got one thing to do from here, just one thing. Actually, you got two. Put down in the box below who was your favorite wrestler. Who was your absolute favorite wrestler growing up as a kid? And if you've never been to my channel, number 2, what you got to do is subscribe. Thanks for dropping by. We'll see you soon. Aloha.